Disclaimer: the following program is designed to offend, provoke, and challenge your religious sensibilities. It contains content that will likely offend anyone who holds religion sacred. This is for those with thick skin or a taste for the harsh truth. If you're easily offended or cherish your religious views, please turn off now. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. You have been warned. Welcome back to Troll the Verse, where the Bible just keeps handing us material. Matthew 8's a crazy trip where Jesus magically heals diseases, bullies his own disciples, and somehow causes a herd of pigs to jump off a cliff at the request of demons. It's miracle after miracle, yet somehow not a single historian alive at the time thought this was worth mentioning. But sure, this totally happened. If you enjoy watching biblical logic collapse under its own weight, you're in the right place. And if you like watching a disaster unfold from the start, I've got playlists for Matthew, Genesis, and Revelation, all starting at chapter 1. Like, comment, and subscribe, or don't. No pressure. Unlike Jesus, I won't scold you for making the obvious choice. This chapter immediately follows the Sermon on the Mount. Despite the big talk in those teachings, Jesus now proceeds to break a few Old Testament laws himself and even some of his own instructions. Miracles abound with zero outside documentation. Jesus finishes his long-winded sermon and a massive crowd follows him. But suddenly a leper appears, falls on his knees, and says, "Sir, if thou dost will, thou art able to cleanse me." Jesus immediately touches him and says, "I will, be thou cleansed." And just like that, instantaneous, full-body restoration, because of course Jesus can cure literal leprosy like he's got a cheat code, because of course he does, he's God, right? But then comes the absurd part. "See, thou mayest tell no one, but go, shew to the priest, and bring the gift that Moses commanded." So Jesus tells this guy not to tell anyone, because apparently people won't notice that the man who was just falling apart is now walking around fully intact, like a walking before and after weight loss ad. Was this Jesus's idea of reverse psychology? Whatever you do, don't tell anyone I'm a miracle worker, right? Because that'll keep things hush-hush. In the priestly offering part, Jesus just erased this guy's leprosy, but somehow that's not enough. He still has to go kill a bird to make it official. Like, congrats, you're healed, now go perform an ancient blood ritual so God can sign off on it. It's like getting cured of cancer and your doctor saying, "Hold up, we still need to sacrifice a pigeon to make it legit." Also, Jesus is just hand-waving away Old Testament purity laws here. Leviticus explicitly says that touching a leper makes you unclean. But Jesus? Rules don't apply to him. If he's going to break the rules, why not just declare leprosy cured for everyone instead of one random guy? There's some other contradictions here. I don't want to leave anything out for you diehards. In the comments section, Jesus proclaims in Matthew 5:17 through 19 that he came not to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. Yet here he touches a leper, which under Leviticus 13 verses 45 and 46 is a big no-no. Lepers are supposed to live outside the camp and keep their distance. So is he championing the law, ignoring it, or just simply overriding it? Right? And why does a priest get the final say on the cleansing? If Jesus is above the law, his declaration should suffice. Meanwhile, Leviticus 14's cleansing ritual involves 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop, complete with blood splatter. Sounds more like a scene from a blood ritual sacrifice instead of anything even remotely holy, but apparently that's divine law. And is Jesus sinning? If breaking purity laws is a sin, which, let me point out, being holy does not exempt you from, wouldn't that contradict the notion of Jesus being sinless? Or is he exempt because he's, well, Jesus? All right, next up, a Roman centurion approaches Jesus because his servant is paralyzed and in terrible pain. Jesus immediately offers to come over and heal him, but the centurion stops him and basically says, "Just say the word and my servant shall be healed." So this centurion knows Jesus doesn't even need to be physically present to perform a miracle. Has he been secretly beta testing Jesus's abilities? Because up until now, every other healing has required Jesus to be there in person. I mean, if he can heal remotely, why isn't the entire world instantly healed? Then Jesus praises the centurion's faith. "Not even in Israel so great faith have I found," which is super nice. Jesus just insulted all of Israel by saying a Roman occupier has better faith than his own chosen people. Way to win hearts and minds, Messiah. Then Jesus drops this little beauty. The sons of the rain shall be cast forth to the outer darkness. There shall be the weeping and the gnashing of the teeth. So basically, he's saying, believe in me or suffer eternal misery. So not only does Jesus confirm hell, but he also confirms that his own people are getting booted in favor of foreigners. He seems like a super compassionate king. Also, did the healed servant even know what happened? He's just lying there paralyzed when suddenly he's fine. No call, no visit, just a long-distance miracle signal from Jesus. And unsurprisingly, no one anywhere documents this anywhere outside of the Bible. Shocking, I know. All right, in Matthew 10, verse 6, Jesus says he was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. But here he praises a Roman over Jews and basically says Israel's faith is subpar. So is he strictly for Israel, or is he open to outsiders asking for a friend? And the healed servant never expresses faith himself. It's all from the centurion. Yet in other passages like Matthew 9, verse 29, it says, according to your faith be it unto you. Jesus implies personal faith is key. So whose faith matters, yours or someone else's on your behalf? And hey, guess what, you mad people in the comments? I didn't write this trash. All right. And in John's gospel, it often shows Jesus physically interacting with the sick, like spitting on dirt to heal blindness in John 9, verse 6. But here, he doesn't even need to show up. So, which is it? Either he's lazy in the other miracles, or he's just decided to go full long distance mode now. Jesus arrives at Peter's house, sees Peter's mother-in-law who's sick with a fever, and does what any good healer would do, touches her hand, and just like that, the fever's gone. So she was just bedridden, and the second she's healed, she's up serving the men. No 5-minute rest. Jesus doesn't even say, hey, take it easy. It's, you're cured. Now get back in the kitchen. This is followed by the mandatory prophecy reference from Matthew. He took our infirmities and the sicknesses he did bear. So because Jesus healed a few sick folks, the gospel writer claims it fulfills Isaiah. Wasn't Isaiah 53 talking about suffering for sins, not curing colds? Well, never mind. Paste the prophecy however you want, I guess. Whatever. All right, a few things to note here. Peter clearly has a wife. He's got a mother-in-law. Yet Jesus says in Luke 14, verse 26, that a true disciple must hate father and mother. Did Peter bail on his marriage? The Gospels never follow up on his wife. Also, first pope but married. Catholic tradition treats Peter as the first pope, yet popes can't marry. So this is awkward. The disciple says, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. Jesus replies, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. This is pretty gosh darned harsh. The guy wants to fulfill the standard family duty of burying his dad, and Jesus basically says, your father, he's really not important right now. Both Matthew 15:4 and Exodus 20:12 insist on honoring parents. Burying them seems like the most basic form of honor. Is Jesus telling him to skip a commandment? Also, this seems like selective compassion. Jesus helps Peter's mother-in-law, but he won't let this disciple bury his dad. So apparently some family obligations are okay, like cooking, while others, like funerals, appear to be completely off the table. And let's also point out that honor your father and mother is literally on the stone tablets. So did Jesus forget that part, or is burying your dad no longer honorable? Jesus gets on a boat, a huge storm hits, and the disciples freak out. He's sleeping, they panic. Jesus wakes up, says, why are you afraid, O ye of little faith, and calms the storm. This is the first time Jesus does a weather miracle. The disciples have seen healings, but controlling nature is new territory, so their terror is pretty normal. If even storms obey Jesus, do humans really have a choice? Also, if he can calm storms at will, why let natural disasters run rampant worldwide? It's not like hurricanes are less deadly than this one. Somebody should really tell Florida they need to start praying harder. And O ye of little faith. That's easy for Jesus to say. He isn't about to drown. The disciples literally have no track record of him controlling the elements, so maybe cut them some slack. Jesus arrives in Gadara, and 2 demon-possessed men come shrieking out of the tombs. They recognize him immediately, calling him the Son of God. Because apparently demons have better holy detectors than humans do, they beg permission to jump into a herd of pigs. Jesus says, sure, and the pigs promptly stampede off a cliff and drown. Mass bacon genocide. Naturally, the townspeople, watching their livestock economy vanish, ask Jesus to leave. Makes sense? If demons can possess people at will, why do they need Jesus' go ahead for pigs? If they kill the pigs immediately, does that even benefit them? Also, where do they go once the pigs are dead? Why not destroy them? If Jesus has power over demons, why didn't he just annihilate them? Why relocate them at all? This solves nothing. The demons are still around somewhere. The town asking Jesus to immediately leave is probably because they value their livelihood more than the well being of two formerly possessed men. Or maybe they're just freaked out by a guy who can cause mass animal deaths without blinking. Hard to blame them for saying, get out. And there seems to be some location confusion here. Matthew says this happened in Gadara. Mark and Luke say Gerasenes, and some manuscripts throw in Gerasenes for fun. If divine inspiration was at work here, you'd think the Holy Spirit could at least remember the right town. Unless, of course, scribes were just guessing. And another little teeny tiny issue, pigs are literally illegal under Jewish law, so why is there a booming pig farming industry right next to where Jesus is doing his ministry? Either the locals were breaking the Torah for bacon money, or we've got yet another story that doesn't hold up to historical scrutiny. All right, here's one more contradiction here. In Matthew's verses, it says Jesus arrives in Gadara, and two demon-possessed men come shrieking out of the tombs. Both Mark and Luke say there's only one. So either Matthew doubled up the possessed for extra flair, or Mark and Luke somehow forgot about a whole other tortured soul. Either scenario doesn't help the perfect accuracy argument. And that's Matthew 8, where Jesus breaks Old Testament laws while claiming to uphold them, plays favorites with miracles, scolds his own disciples for being afraid of drowning, murders a herd of pigs just to relocate demons, and tells a guy to forget about his dead father if he wants to follow him. But hey, no one outside of the Bible thought to write any of this down. Not Josephus, not Tacitus, not Pliny, none of the historians who were actively documenting the Roman-occupied world at the time. And even inside the Bible, the Gospels weren't written by eyewitnesses and copy from each other. But sure, let's believe anonymous Gospel writers over complete historical silence. Matthew 8 isn't just a list of miracles. It's a mess. Jesus claims to fulfill the law while breaking it, randomly decides who gets healed, controls storms, but lets natural disasters wipe people out elsewhere, and somehow not a single eyewitness outside the Bible ever mentions any of it. If this is supposed to prove his divinity, it sure leaves a lot of loose ends. Matthew 8 isn't just a list of miracles, it's a mess. Jesus claims to fulfill the law while breaking it, randomly decides who gets healed, controls storms but lets natural disasters wipe people out elsewhere, and somehow not a single eyewitness outside the Bible ever mentions any of it. If this is supposed to prove his divinity, it sure leaves a lot of loose ends. Like, comment, and subscribe. Or, who knows, next time Jesus might show up to rearrange your local farm animals. See you next time!